welcome to week 3 for CSE110, or the Intro to Programming in Python. Now we're going to have some fun stuff today. We're talking today about if-else statements. Now if you are in this class at BYUI right now, a CSE110, stick around. There's some stuff at the very end that I'm going to point out that will make your proof assignment, the adventure game, make that a little bit easier for you. Something they don't quite teach you yet, which I think they probably should teach you by now, but all the same, I'm going to show it to you guys. So let's start off with prepare 1. Now for those of you not in the class, just follow along, learn a little bit of Python with us, have some fun. So prepare 1, it's the first file you're going to make for this week, and put in a week 3 folder, prepare 1. And you're going to ask the user for 2 numbers, and then you're going to tell them which number is higher, which one's lower, and then tell them if they're equal or not. So it's a pretty weird description of this assignment. It's a weird thing to do, but it helps you get the use out of if-else statements and learn how they work. So we know how to ask for inputs. Of course, we're going to do like num1 is equal to int input. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, and then because I'm lazy, I'm going to copy it and do it again. And then I'm just going to change this one to num2. And then say, what is the second number? So now you've asked for these 2 numbers from the user. Now you need to find a way to figure out which one is larger, which number is bigger than the other one. So they have you do 3 separate if-else statements to determine this. And the first one is you just need to figure out if the first number is greater or if it's not greater. And then the second one is you need to understand if the numbers are equal or if they are not. And then the third one is the second number greater or is it not greater? Now this is a weird way to kind of display this, but I think they just wanted you to get practice in using if-else statements. Because you could potentially just write an if-else statement like this. If your goal was to try to find out which number was bigger, you could easily just say if num1 is greater than num2, then you just print num1 is bigger. Oh, right, sorry, you need to, oops. Yeah, first number is bigger. You write something like that. And then you write an if statement to say, or an else statement, I mean, sorry. But if you write else statement like this, it's going to take anything else. So if num1 is greater than num2, then it will display this. But if anything else is true, then it'll do the else statement. So we're going to not do an else statement yet, but we're going to do an elif statement. And in the elif, we're going to say if num1 is less than num2, then we print, oh my goodness, print number 2 is bigger. However I wrote that. First number, second number. I guess I should write second number. Second number is bigger. I'll show you guys how this runs. If you hit go, it'll just come up and ask you, what is the first number? You can say 5. And then what's second number? 6. You'd say second number is bigger. You could do the other way around. You could say like 10 and 5, and first number is bigger. But what if it's 5 and 5? It does nothing because we haven't asked anything about that yet. So that's where the else statement is going to come in. You could say elif num1 is equal to num2, but we're just going to do an else statement because it is going to be either one of these. It will either be bigger or smaller, and then the only other option is that they're exactly the same. So we're going to say like, I don't know, print, oops, I forgot to put the quotations around that. There we go. So simple enough, you do that, and you say, what is the first number? 5 and 5. The numbers are equal. So there it says that. So this is one way you could do an if-else statement to determine which one was bigger. I don't think that's what they wanted for this assignment, so I'm gonna show you the other way that they want you to do for this assignment. For those of you that are in the class and are a little bit confused on what they're asking about, I'll show you what they are asking for. So here they're asking for if num1 is bigger than num2. and then just want you to say else print, what is it? The first number's not bigger. What does it say? Oh, so they want it written like this. This is how they want it written. Here, I'll just paste it over here. This is what they want written. The first number is greater. And then for the second statement, they want the first number is not greater. So this first if-else statement is just going to show you whether or not num1 is greater than num2. If it is, then it prints this. If it's not, then it prints this. That also goes to say that if num1 and num2 are equal, it will still say the first number is not greater, because it technically isn't. It's exactly the same. So the next one is here. I'll just show you. I'll show you what this looks like. Why not? Instead of typing it out. So if num1 is equal to num2, then you print the numbers are equal, and if it's not that, then they're not equal. You know. And then the last one. Oopsies, that wasn't supposed to happen. There you go. And the last one is if the second number is greater or if it is not greater. So if we kill the terminal real quick just to start over fresh, start a new one. What is the first number? It's a 4, and the second number is a 10. Say the first number is not greater. The second number, numbers. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I did that right. The numbers are not equal. The second number is greater, which is true. All those statements are true. If we flip it around, we see like 10 and 9 or something like that. It says the first number is greater, the numbers are not equal, and the second number is not greater. So this is what they wanted. They wanted to see some practice. They wanted to see you put in the effort to try to make these if-else statements happen. Excuse me. Ugh. Lastly, for this one, they wanted you to create something like this. They want you to ask, what the user's favorite animal is, and then print back if that is your favorite animal. So it doesn't matter what I put in. You put in whatever animal is your favorite. For me, though, I'm going to put a tiger, because tigers, I think, is my, well, that's debatable. I also like otters. I'll do otters. Okay, I'll do otters this time. You say animal is equal to, or even favorite animal. You could say like fave animal equal to input what is your favorite animal. There you go. What is your favorite animal? And then all you have to do from here on out is you have to just check if it's equal to yours, or if it's not, then it's not. So what you would say is something like, if fave animal is equal to tiger, do tiger, and we'll put here the dot lower, so that no matter what they type in, if they type in all caps or not anything, it will morph it to this lower version of it, so it'll match. Even if they type a capital T or if they type it in all caps, it doesn't matter, it'll still match. That's what the dot lower does. It transforms this string into a lowercase, if I haven't said that already. And then all you do is just do else. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. If it is, then you say print that's my favorite too. That's my favorite too. And then else print that is not my favorite animal. That's not my favorite animal. And that's all you do for these two. So this, I might as well point this out. This right here is an equal to operator. So if you put two equals, that's checking to see if something is equal to it. But if I were to put one equals, that's an assignment operator. So this is trying to say if favorite animal dot lower, and then assigning tiger to that, and it's not gonna work. It's throwing me an error already, saying that's not right. And so if you put two equals, that's saying that's a check. It's seeing, oh, is favorite animal equal to tiger? Is it? But if I were to put favorite animal equals, like, well, if I get it right here, hang on, there we go, equals, that is assigning whatever this person inputs to favorite animal. Hope that's making sense. So double equals is just like a check. It's checking to see if it is equal to instead of assigning something equal to it. So if we run this, it'll say, what's the first number? We'll do, I don't know, 50 and then 55. All right, and then it'll do as we expected. What's your favorite animal? Otter. It's like, that's not my favorite animal, which, I mean, it is mine, but I also like tigers, man. I don't really care. It's both. I like both of them. So 50, 60, whatever. What's your favorite animal? If I go tiger with all caps, it says that's my favorite too. It still counts it even though it's all in caps. If I mix the caps with lowercase and all that, it still counts because I put that dot lower on there, and so it's checking for that. So that's prepare 1. That one's pretty cool. I like that one. It's just showing you how if and else statements run and what these assignment operators do, or not assignment, I'm sorry, this check operator between these ones, what they do. The next one is prepare 2. I'll create a new file for this one. This next one is a little complicated because you need nested if-else statements to make this happen. So what you're going to do is you're going to check a loan. It's a loan calculator. You need to find out if somebody is cleared for a loan or not. So basically, I'll just put this right here so you guys can read it. It's welcome to the loan calculator. Please enter the following on a scale from 1 to 10. So you're going to enter your how large the loan is, how is your credit history. You're going to do it on a scale of 1 to 10. So this is just not an accurate measurement of your actual credit history, but it's just there to kind of help facilitate it so that you don't have to actually enter real numbers or anything. Just 1 to 10 is a very simple way to do this. So you're going to take in inputs. You're going to take in the loan size, how big it is, 1 to 10. If your credit history is good, or how high your income is, and how large is the down payment. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what I made for my variables. So I did loan size, credit, income, down payment. That's what I called it. And to get those, I would obviously do that and give you int, because you're not looking for money. Once again, you're looking for a scale of 1 to 10, so you're just doing integers. And basically, you just want a bunch of if-else statements that just checks to see if something is true. So this is where it gets a little complicated. You have to sit and think about this for a minute. So you want, if the loan size is greater than 5 or equal to 5, if it's 5 or greater, then that's what we want it for. Oh, what is that? Okay. So if the loan size is 5 or greater, then you need to have a credit of 7 or greater and an income of 7 or greater. Is that making sense? So I'm going to type that out so you can see it. So that's kind of what this looks like. It's saying if the loan size is greater than 5 or equal to 5, because 5 is also an acceptable measure. So if loan size is greater than 5 or equal to 5, and if the credit, well, if loan size is greater than 5 or equal to 5, and then after it finds out if this is true, if this is the case, then it jumps into this one and says, is the credit greater than 7 or equal to 7, and is the income equal to 7 or greater than 7? And then after that, it will then do this next code. Now, I created something called decision true or false, and I put it somewhere up here at the top. So I did something like this because I wanted to easily keep track of whether or not the decision to accept the loan or give the loan was true. And so I would come down here and I would say that this is true. Okay, this is a Boolean, and a Boolean is a true or false value. It is just the two, and you can't put anything else into a Boolean, just true and false. Okay. Now, if I were to try to put like this around it, that would turn it into a string. It is no longer a Boolean, it is a string. But we want it to be Boolean, so we can just hold true and false values in there. And I'll show you why a little bit later. But I have decision true or false in here. And so if the loan size is greater than 5 or equal to 5, then both of these have to be true. Both the credit has to be greater than 7 or equal to 7, and the income has to be there for this to pass, for this to come to fruition, for this to be the thing. Now, you have an elif statement here as well to say If the credit is greater than 7 or the income is greater than 7, it's an or statement. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, this is saying if either one of these are true. So this is a statement to say if both of them are true. This is a statement to say if only one of them are true. Then this needs to happen. Now, if only one of them is true, then the down payment has to be greater than 5 or else it will be rejected. And that looks like this. So, if the credit is greater than or equal to 7, or the income is greater than or equal to 7. So if like credit is 2, and that's a really poor credit, and then income is 7, then you have to have a down payment of 5 or greater for it still to be, for them to be able to give you the loan. Now the last thing to add in here is just if all else fails. You know, if none of this is true, then, well, not none of this. The next part is if this isn't true, so if one of these is 7 but not the other one, and the down payment is not 5, or it's lower than 5 rather, then the decision is false. So I just pasted that in here. That's else, decision false. There, like decision true or false is equal to false, saying that they won't give you the loan. Now, this very last one is the same thing because it comes back up here to this if-elif statement. It's like if your credit is, not equal to 7 and your income is not equal to 7, if they're both not equal to 7 and if one of them is not at least equal to 7, then your decision is false. That needs to move down a little bit, actually. That goes right there. So now that's just going to give you a decision false, okay? All right. Now we jump into the occasion, what if the loan size is not greater than 5? What if the loan size is smaller? What if they're asking for less money? So you do have an else statement. We'll just do else for this one. And then you say if credit is less than 4. It's less than 4. Yeah, there we go. If it's less than 4, then decision TF is equal to false. So basically from here on out, so if the loan size is smaller than 5, the chances of getting the loan is much greater. So there's less standing in your way. So now for all of these statements, we need to create, we just need to create the exceptions for why you wouldn't be accepted for a loan size that's less than 5, for a really small amount, versus, loan size. Say loan size is 5 means you're getting $5,000, or one less than 5 means less than that. For example, you're getting a $3,000 one. Now, a $3,000 loan would be a lot easier to get than a $5,000 loan. So there's less standing in your way of getting it. So now we need to create the exceptions for why someone wouldn't get that. For example, if the credit is less than 4, that's false. Now, all of these numbers and like which one's higher, which one's lower, it's all detailed out in the instructions for the class for the CSE110. I don't expect you guys to memorize any of this if you're not in the class and you want to try this. I wouldn't worry too much about it. You can copy the numbers that I have if you want. This is pretty detailed. It's pretty hard to remember if you don't have those instructions that they give you. So you just got to remember loan size. If loan size is greater than 5, then you got to do all this stuff to make sure that they can get it. Otherwise, if it's not greater than 5, then their credit has to be above 4. If it's less than 4, or it can be 4 or above. If it's less than 4, then the decision is false. The next little bit is quite a bit. It's quite a bit of code to figure out why else would they not get it. We need an else statement here, and then we'll paste this code in there. So if it's greater than 4, if it's less than 4, then it just has to be false. There's no other option. But if the credit is greater than 4 and they're asking for a loan size, so they're asking for a loan size of 3 and their credit is 5. Perfect. So it goes to this else statement and it checks, is their income greater or their down payment, is it greater? Is their income greater than 4 or down payment greater than 4? The big difference between these two statements here is the or. Okay, in this one, the income has to be greater or equal to 7, and the down payment has to be greater than or equal to 7. And in this one, if the income and down payment are both over 4, or the 4 are over, then it's true. Then they get the decision, they can receive the mortgage or the loan or whatever. Otherwise, if all that other stuff isn't true, then the decision's false. They won't give them the loan. Now, the very last thing to do to wrap this whole thing up is we need to tell the computer what to do if you get a decision false or a decision true. You just need to know what to do. So basically what I did here was I did if decision true or false, then print congrats. I didn't spell congrats right. Oh my goodness. Congrats. There we go. Congrats. Your application was approved. There you go. So if you type without the equals, you can, if you would like to. You don't have to put is equal to true. You can if you want to. You can put that true there, but it's not necessary. When you do this, decision true or false, if you say if decision true or false, it's automatically assuming that that means true. So if decision true or false is true, you don't have to type it. It just, if you type it like this, it assumes that if decision true or false is true. So you can put it like that, and then you just say else. You can say, sorry. Oh, I need to put print, sorry. Print, sorry, your application was rejected. And you could go further into this. You could like put the reasoning why your application was rejected because of this if you wanted to. But I wouldn't really worry about it. But this is your loan calculator. Let's get this out of the way so you can see everything. This is your loan calculator. It's not hard to do. It's just sometimes a little hard to wrap your head around the logic of what takes what and when you need to, when you need to start, doing different stuff and all that. But these are embedded if statements. You use those when you need to do a different check inside of another check. So if the loan size is greater than 5, then you need to check these things to make sure those are also true before deciding whether or not you can give it to them or not. That's what if-else statements really do. They kind of help you gauge whether or not you want to give a Boolean value true or false. For example, this is a Boolean value because you're saying if the loan size is greater than or equal to 5, equal to or greater than 5. If it is greater than or equal to 5, it will return a true for this right here. This will become true, and then it'll go into that if statement and start executing this if statement, which is also another Boolean value. But let's go check the code, and let's just do it real quick. How large is the loan? We'll say large is 5. Okay, well, how good is your credit history? Which is right up here. It's asking you these questions right here. How good is your credit history? We'll say it's a 5. How high is your income? We'll say an 8. It's pretty high. How large is your down payment? A 2. And says, no, sorry, your application was rejected. If we follow the logic that it took, how large is the loan? So we check here. How large is the loan? It's a 5, which greater than or equal to 5. So we come in here, and it says, is the credit and the income equal to or greater than 7? And you come down here, and the credit that I put in was 5, so it's not above 7. Okay? How about the credit is equal to 7, greater than 7, or the income is greater than 7? The income is greater than 7, so one of those is true, and it comes down here. If down payment is greater than 5, then the decision is true, else it's false. So I put a down payment of 2, and that's why it came out as false. So you're seeing a little bit of how it's kind of deciding these things. And then at the bottom, of course, depending on what value I gave decision true or false, this value, it will spit out something. We could do another one that would cause it to succeed. So we could do like a 7. Oh, sorry. Let's get rid of that. Whoopsies, I didn't mean to do that. So how large is the loan? 7. How good is your credit history? 8. How high is your income? It's a 9. How large is the down payment? 2. It says, congrats, the application was approved because, if you scroll back up here, the loan was a 7, but my credit history and income were both higher than 7, so it immediately gave it to me. So that's how this works. That's pretty fun. I like these. These are pretty great. The team assignment that you're going to be doing with your team if you're part of the class, if you're not part of the class, you could do it on your own, it doesn't really matter, is a grade calculator. All right, and so let me pull up a team.py. team.py. Okay, so the team, whoops, that's not what I was trying to type there. Team.py. Basically what you want to do is you want to create if-else statements that tell the user what their letter grade is based on their percentage. Okay, and so it's pretty similar to what we were just doing. All you have to do is you have to say if the grade is greater than or equal to 90, then print A, or print your grade is an A, or whatever. It's not that hard. You guys can figure this out. This is the first if statement. I don't have a grade in here, but you have to ask them what their grade is first off, and then you just like this. You say, what is your grade percentage? And this /in back here is a new line character. So you saw me in the past do something like print, like that, like print and then grade. That works too. It does the exact same thing as this does. It's just a new line operator. So yeah, that's what that is. It's /in, backward /in will do a new line anywhere in your code. If you put a space here, that will put a space in your terminal. So you don't want to do that. You want to leave it pressed up against the N like that. But yeah, here's the first one. If grade is greater than or equal to 90, letter grade is equal to A. Or rather, you could just say print A, actually. This is a stretch assignment that I did. So you would say print A, just like that. Boom. That's the core requirement, and you do each one that way. You say if grade is equal to that, then print this, or if grade is greater than or equal to 80, press this. You could also potentially add in some ands if you wanted to for the further ones to say that if the letter grade is greater than or equal to 80 and less than 90. You could do that if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. The computer will figure this out on its own already. That's not necessary. So make sure you do your elifs and your else statements to try to get that to print the way you want it to. Now the stretch assignments is to add a letter grade in there, and you guys saw it already. I did this. You guys saw what this was already. Is that, and all you have to do is at the beginning of your code, you just put something called letter grade, make it blank, make sure there's nothing in it, and then you assign that to your letter grade all the way through your code. And at the very bottom, I think I already told you guys that you can do a format for your print like this, like that, and then you can add in whatever text you want. You could say your letter grade is, and then do this and do letter grade. There you go. And then whatever this letter grade ends up being, because you're doing your if-else statements and assigning that based on how high the percentage was that they gave, your letter grade is letter grade. And then that's the end of your thing. I almost said the game. The assignment also asks you to create something to say congratulations if you did pass the class. That's another stretch assignment. If your grade is greater than 70 or equal to 70, you can print, yeah, you did it. Otherwise, try again next time or whatever. This is what I typed. Oof, better luck next time. So that's everything for the team assignment. It's not too bad. I'm not going to show you everything because you will meet with your team for that. And if you're not part of the class, then just go out on your own and try to figure this one out. It's not too bad. It's just a mixture of the two prepares that we did before and making them happen. Now, this last part, the prepare. This one's probably going to take you the most time to do, because basically what you're doing for this, not prepare, I'm sorry, I spelled it wrong. It's prove, sorry. Prove is my nose itches so bad, gosh, is the adventure game. What I mean by that is like a text adventure game. I don't remember what that one used to be called. There was one that I played a long time ago. And I can't remember what it's called, but you guys know the type. It's the one where it says you wake up in a forest. Would you like to go forward, backward, whatever? And you just type in walk forward or whatever, and then it says, oh, now you're in a denser part of trees. It's much darker now. Walk forward. Oh, now you're at the entrance of a cave. It's a text adventure game. What's it called? Is it Zork? Is that what it's called? Zork, I think. Yeah, it is Zork. Yeah, there we go. It's Zork. Anyway, it is a text adventure game. So you're going to create your own text adventure game, and the biggest advice I can give you for this assignment is start early. Start early, because this is a challenging assignment to do in a quick period of time, because there's just so much you got to wrap your head around. It is a challenging assignment, but it is doable with all the information that you already have. It just takes a little bit of thinking, a little bit of working. I'm going to show you some tips and things that I did that will help you get further in this class. So I had somebody show me their code today, and I didn't realize that they didn't teach you yet in the class what a while loop is, and that helps simplify this experience so much. Okay, so basically what I did was I started a main. Now I haven't taught you guys what a main was yet in this series, but this is what your main looks like. So it's if dash dash main dash dash equals equals, and then you do the same thing with quotations around it and with the colon at the end. Now what this is creating a main function. It's creating a main place for something to happen. So this is where the beginning instructions for the game are going to take place. Okay? Okay, so here I've put a little bit of stuff. This is how I started my game. I said, welcome to the adventure game. I actually don't know why I put a format. You don't need a format for that. But welcome to the adventure game. Available commands will always be in caps. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But then name is equal to input, what's your name, and then it says good luck name. And it says you wake up in the middle of the forest, and then calls this thing called intro scene. Now this is a function, and I put this function above it because in Python you have to have your function above where you call it. So I do like def intro scene. You do that, and you boom boom, and you see that changed colors. It went to yellow, indicating that I do have one. And then your intro scene is going to hold. That's like a spot on the map. So when you do this, I also recommend that you take a piece of paper or something and you draw a map for yourself. Draw out what you want your map to look like. I did mine on my phone. It doesn't look that good, but I can show you what it looks like, even though it's a little silly looking. But this, let me make sure you guys can actually see this. So this is what it kind of looks like. It's just like a bunch of squares I just drew with my finger, and I like filled them in with some stuff and put like, you know, letters on it to try to remind myself of what is in that area. So, oh, I'm starting my phone. So basically what you're going to do is that you create your intro scene. You're going to draw out where you want your character to start. You create like blocks or somehow to show yourself where everything is. So you start in an intro scene and you display what you want to display in that area. Also, the reason why I put you wake up in a forest right here in the middle of a forest is because it's going to send you straight to this intro scene, but I don't want to put this print statement here because every time the character goes back to that same area where the intro happened, it's going to reprint you wake up in the middle of the forest, even though they didn't. Even if they just walk away, walk to the left, and then they walk straight back, that should take them back to the same area, but it shouldn't print that statement again. So I put it there. An intro scene, I started off with something called an array, and then that's called directions equals, and you start an array by putting these square brackets around them like that. And you can type values in there. Like for example, I could say like left, whoops, and put a comma on the outside of that bracket, and then, outside those quotations. Say right, comma, forward, and then comma, backward. Now there's a reason why I'm writing these in lowercase. Now I did say that all available commands will be in caps. I'm writing these in lowercase because it's just so much easier to type and so much easier to read when I'm reading my code. And I'll show you what the caps is in just a second. So you got your intro scene. Here's your directions. They're set up the way you want them to, saying these are all the available commands that you can give. Okay. So now you say something like, let me just copy the text over that I put through here just so you can see it and it's not confusing or anything. So now I put, the only visible light is some sun shining through the trees. You could say, if you want this all to go on one line, but you did want it to break like it is, like this, you could say /n and then go through the trees. This will do the exact same thing. I just wanted it to be easier to read. So I did it the way I did it, like that. But you can also do it with a slash in, like I was showing you before. And then there is what first shows up. Okay, then you can put something called action. I call it action. You can call it whatever you want, actually, but call it action. And I put quotations around it to say that I'm instantiating. I'm saying the action is blank. There's nothing in the variable action. It's an empty string. And then there's this while loop. Now, a while loop is very useful because a while loop will keep repeating whatever's inside that loop until the condition is met. Okay? So you'll say something like, you could say, easily you could say, while, like we were doing the Boolean variables earlier, while decision true false, this from earlier, is equal to false. So you want it to keep looping through this while loop until the decision to give you the loan is true. So keep looping whatever's inside this thing until decision true false becomes true, or until it is broken, because it doesn't necessarily have to be false, but until it's broken. So what this while loop is going to say is while action dot lower, and we're going to say lower because they can type the instruction however they want. We just want to make sure we put it into lowercase so that it matches these directions up here. So while action dot lower, not in directions, boom. Then you do what's inside here. So action is just an empty array for right now. And while action dot lower is not in directions, which it's not because it's blank, then do this stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask them for something. You're going to say action equals input. Do you want to go forward, left, right, or backwards. So these are your examples, and this is what I meant by caps. So when it prints out to them, it says, what do you want to do? Do you want to go forward, left, right, backwards? So it's capitalized just so that they can see. So they can see, oh, those are my instructions. Those are the things that I can tell the program to do. And so it's left, right, forward, backward, but I have dot lower so that it changes whatever they typed in, no matter if it's caps or lower or whatever, it changes it to lower for me. So now I have this action inputted. Now I need to input what I want to do when the person does these actions. If they say forward, if they say backward, if they say this, that, whatever. So inside here, I'm going to say if, once again, you don't need these brackets around it. You can just hit space and then say like action dot lower is equal to left. There you go. You could say it like that. And then you could say whatever you want to happen if they type in left. I like to put brackets around it. It's a me thing. I just kind of like it. You don't have to, but I like to do it. Anyway, so you have this. Now, you notice I created an intro scene, okay? Now for each square that was on your map that you drew, if you draw your squares, each square is going to have its own function. This is called def intro scene. Now you're going to create a function for each area. So when you think about it, what on your map that you drew when you have your piece of paper, what's on the left side of the intro scene? For me, what was it? It was a building, right? Is that what was on it? Let me take a look. Yeah, it was a building on the left side. So I would say like, so if he turns to the left, I want building, whatever, I don't know, building front. Okay, now it underlines it because that's not a function. It doesn't recognize it because it's not. I haven't created it yet. But there's building front. I'm like, perfect. That's what I'm going to want my thing to be called, I guess. So def building front, and then add that, and then pass or something. Now I have building front. That went away. Now I know I need to add something in here for that to be a viable option. But now I'm going to put a couple print statements just like this one and say, my phone, stop. And if, I go to the building front, it's going to say something like, you're standing in front of a building, and I'm going to put that in here in building front. And then I'm going to create if-else statements like this to tell me to tell the person where they're gonna go or what kind of thing. So if action dot lower is equal to backward. Oh, did I put backwards? Oh, let me just put backward. That might make it easier. Or backward. Yeah, that makes more sense. Then where am I gonna go when I go backward? So in mine, I have a truck. So we're gonna say truck area. All right, perfect. So now I've got these two things, and I'm gonna come up here above building. I could even put it below building. I could put it like, whoops. I could put like def building. I'm sorry, building. I'm sorry, no, truck area. Pass. So now you can kind of see how this is working. You know, you tell it where you're gonna go, and as you go along, you build one at a time. So I'm doing my intro scene, so I build where do I want my intro scene to go, and then I just put passes in here. And then after I'm done doing this, I'm like, ooh, let me take care of the building next. So I come up here to the very top and I start typing out when I show up in my building, what are my available options? And I start making if statements to send me to those areas. I hope this is starting to make a little bit of sense. One other tip that I guess I would give is I put above here incomplete. Oh my gosh, if I can type, incomplete. There we go, incomplete. And then inside here, instead of putting pass, I just put print incomplete. So that way, whoops, there you go. So that way, if I'm testing after I've done a couple of areas and I want to make sure that they work the way I want them to, and I'm testing the game and I send myself to a place that doesn't have any options, it'll just print out incomplete, and that's it. And it'll kick me out of the program, and I can keep editing and keep going through. So I did that for both of them. For every program, or every function that I haven't completed yet, I have like an incomplete above it so that I can read it there. And then when I finish doing it, like for example, my intro scene is incomplete right now, I would type incomplete right there. And then I would finish it up, and once I'm finally done with it, I'm like, I'm comfortable that I finished it, backspace it. That way the incomplete's not there anymore, bugging me, and I know that that one's finished, so I can leave and come back and do some more code later. Hopefully this is helping you guys understand a little bit better how to do this assignment. This while loop is something that they haven't taught us yet in this class. They've only taught us if-else statements, but I'm using this while loop because it makes my code cleaner. I can say while the action that either the person has given me or that I've assigned right here is not in this directions array, well, it's not in there, once you just keep repeating all this information. And so if someone, there's also at the very bottom when you finish typing all of your else statements, you're going to want to find one final else that just says something like that is not a valid entry, or that is not a valid keystroke, or that's not a valid input, or something like that. Maybe input would be better. That's not a valid input. And then it'll loop back to the beginning, and it'll ask them again, do you want to go forward, left, right, backward? And then if they type in like, ooh, they'd say up. If they're like, I want to go up towards the sky, or I don't know, I want to go up or something, it'll say that's not a valid input, and then kick them back and say, do you want to go forward, back? So it'll keep looping until they finally give them what the program's asking for, until they give them left, right, backward, all that kind of stuff. Now, one more final thing. I guess I said a couple final things. In my code, I added the ability to pick up stuff. Like there's items around the world, okay? Like a key or a rope or whatever else I got. Flashlight was the other one. So how you do that is at the very, very top of your code, above everything else, you're going to put something like key is equal to false, because they don't have the key yet. The person doesn't hold the key when the program starts. You can say like flashlight is equal to false. Okay? Now, as you go through your program and you want the person to be able to pick these things up and you want them to be able to use them as they go throughout the game, what you're going to have to do is that in each area where these things are located, you have to tell the computer that you want to use that global variable there, these variables. So say in the truck area there's a flashlight. You type global flashlight. Perfect. Now, as you go through using this function and you're creating all of your actions and all of your possible scenarios, this global flashlight can be used. And all you have to do is you have to say when someone goes up and they choose to pick up. Let me use something, for example. So if I copy this, for example, I copy this and I put it right here. Now imagine we have our print statement up here that tells you all about the area, that you found a truck in this area. What do you want to do? And do you want to, you could say like, do you want to go backward? And you could say like, or inspect, if I could type, inspect. Or inspect, and then if they type the inspect would be one of these options in here. You would have elif inspect, elif action. Oh, that's actually not what that's supposed to be. Back it up. There you go. If action dot lower is equal to inspect. Oh my goodness, am I going to spell that word wrong every time? You could say print. You picked up a flashlight or something like that. I mean, it's not going to be exactly like that. And then you'd say flashlight equals true. And now flashlight equals true. Now, really quick thing here. If you have directions, let me pull my directions back up here. If you have your directions here, there you go. You do not, and I repeat, you do not want to put inspect in here. You don't want to put comma inspect. Don't want to do that, because if you do that and someone types in inspect, it's going to realize, this while loop is going to realize that they picked up the flashlight that's actually in the directions, and it's going to kick you out of the game. The game will just stop, because that happened to me. The game will just stop. So you leave it out of directions, because that's one, that's not a direction you can go. And two, you want it to keep looping because they haven't done anything other than pick up the flashlight. So they've picked up their flashlight. Now you want to return them back to standing outside the truck where they were a moment ago. And so then it repeats back. It says, you're standing by a truck. Do you want to go forward, left, back, right? Or inspect. And if they inspect again, you potentially could put in a type of check to see if flashlight is true or if it is false. If it's already true, then go inspect the truck again. It should say there's nothing in the truck for you to grab or something like that. I haven't added one in there yet, but just it's something you can do if you feel like you need to. You can do if statements. Another embedded if statement here to say, like, if flashlight is false, then say pick up the flashlight and then turn flashlight true. And if it is already true, then say there's nothing left for you to inspect or something like that. But hopefully this gives you a little bit of understanding on how the global variables work and how you have to call global variable before you can use it. I hope this helped you guys. I really am hoping that I can help somebody with this, because this was really tough for me to learn. I didn't know about global flashlight before I learned it a couple days ago. I didn't know that I had to call it up before I could use it in my function here. Pretty crazy stuff. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will do my best to answer them. But go have fun. If you're part of this class, good luck, and go finish this proof assignment. It's a lot of fun. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of typing, but have a lot of fun with it. Spend some time having some fun doing this. If you're not in the class and you're just here for fun, go at your own pace. Take some time, just think about it, have fun, build your area, build how you want your area to look, and then go share it with people. Like, I know it's kind of scary to share your code with people, but once it's working, just hand it to somebody and say, like, hey, look what I did, look at this, look, I created this great code. It's an adventure game. It's so much fun. It's just like Zork. And show it to them, because that will increase your pride in your code, and it may even display some errors that you didn't know you had because you hadn't even considered those options. But they try something and it brings up an error that you didn't even know about, or it brings up a failure in your code, and you're like, oh, perfect, that's something I should go fix real quick. Let me have at that and go fix it. Sharing it with other people will expose the things you've done wrong in your code, or it will just go great and you can be really proud and happy of what you have done. Even if you have errors, don't be afraid to don't be not proud of yourself because errors occur while someone else is testing your code, or if you're testing your code, don't get down on yourself because errors happen. Errors are fine. Like, they're part of the learning process. And I never get it exactly right the first time. I mean, it happened to me the other day. I put inspect in this the first time, and then when I was playing and And I entered inspect, and it said you picked up the flashlight, and then it just exited my code with no warning. It was just like, game's done. I was like, what happened? And then I realized, oh, right, I put that in my directions, and I probably don't want to do that. And then I just took it out. Not too bad, not hard. It's just, it takes time. So go have fun with it. Go have a lot of fun. Message me in the comments if you guys have any further questions with this assignment. It actually is quite challenging and takes its time, but go have fun. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and we will go from there. But that's it, my friends. Until next time, I'll see you.